pre-AI or pre-generative AI, even if you had to generate shitty work, even to create the shitty work, it would take a lot of time. And the problem today is, because of generative AI, you can generate a lot of bad quality work in a very short time, which can cause a lot of damage to your brand. You can create output that has no outcome. You can generate lots of output that has no outcome or no positive outcome for the business or the customers. And this drug that, that the feeling of, oh, I created some output. I thought junior people would fall prey to this drug, or they would get addicted to this drug. It was the senior people who got addicted. So maybe in 5 years, generative AI addiction becomes a formalized term, just like social media addiction.
There is a critical thinking element between what AI is producing and what we are producing. But then if the AI's argument is seeping into your perception, then obviously we are not really thinking what we want really through. But then if we are sparring with AI continuously and we are not settling on what AI is producing it, then it sort of becomes a very powerful tool to even start with.
Someone who could have designed a 5-slide presentation manually, starting from a blank canvas, like no rocket science, now is addicted to single prompt presentation because the first piece of output looks fancy. Organizations are going to get a flood of this AI fluff inside. Professional who's doing this probably doesn't even know that they're creating like a lot of damage to their career. If you submit work with a lot of noise, there should be some framework that says this is bad work.
Okay, so welcome to yet another episode of Post AI Nation. This is a very interesting episode because we sort of coming close to working together for roughly 4 months now. We've been doing this podcast for quite some time now. Then we've known each other for even longer. But then these past 4 months were very, very intensive. So we'll look into that and share like how it went. But before that, Post AI Nation, we are doing this because we believe Nepal needs a new tech culture in the post AI world. But the conversations that could really spark the shift are happening. We are pushing it. We have people in the ecosystem who are doing it, but then this is not an incremental sort of journey. It really has to get pushed a lot more. So through Post AI Nation, we are hosting these conversations so that we could empower the tech and business ecosystem in Nepal to seize the AI opportunity. It's a very, very exciting time, and we had some really exciting time together. Like, how was the last 4 months for you, and how are you doing? Let's start there.
I'm doing good. I was listening to you repeat our kind of mission statement and something came to mind, which is when someone calls themselves an expert of something, or for someone to be able to call themselves an expert at something, there are certain keywords that you just recognize in their language, right? Like, for example, a proper like AI engineer will constantly use who is like, again, who can deliver business value, will use words like workflow, and kind of they'll be able to separate the LLM layer from the they will use tools, they'll use agents, and they will like have very specific connotations of these words. Someone who is kind of a UX person will use words like job to be done or JTBD. So there's this technical words that a thorough professional in any industry should be using. And I think one of the big issues I see in Nepal is the only sector of tech professionals actually using the proper technical words are application developers. Beyond that, product managers, project managers, kind of AI engineers, marketing people, sales people. I don't see the other layers of technology businesses speaking the technical tongue of those fields. It's like vibe, I'm a vibe project manager. I'm a vibe marketer. And I think if we are to succeed in our mission,
Yeah.
I think our goal should be to, through this podcast, and I think for people listening to the podcast, to absorb some of the technical language that will not just make them sound smarter, but actually make them smarter when they talk about AI.
Yeah, it's more about thinking more clearly, right? Because at the end of it, when we put words to fundamentals of that field, then these becomes like notes that we can sort of connect very easily. So it's like the understanding is not murky, and then whenever we have to build some things, they just compound. The elements sort of compound, and then they can like we can remove them, put them back together. So I think I found that to be very important, and especially in the post AI sort of world. I think the first principles of any field is very important, and I think like that relates to the taxonomy. Like if you identify the first principles, you can identify the exact thing to talk about as well, and then you can that translates into your work as well. That translates into your thinking as well, and I think like that's sort of very important.
And you know what's the big opportunity here?
Yeah,
Like with again, user experience design, sales, marketing. The tech professionals in Nepal have already a lot of baggage from the past.
yeah,
That means if we were to teach them the right frameworks, we would first have to make them unlearn their old frameworks. It will take a lot of time. I think AI is new enough that if you and I and couple more people come together and kind of introduce the right frame of mind and like the right vocabulary,
yeah.
we might not have to do a lot of unlearning 5 years into the future. So we are just at the right moment where kind of the intervention we are trying to do at the podcast level. Obviously, this is not enough. Bigger interventions, bigger, more organized interventions will be required, and I think everybody needs to contribute something to the conversation beyond just Punit and Alok. But it's just it's such a right time for a proper, organized, collective intervention from Nepal's tech industry to say that we just cannot miss this wave. We cannot keep missing technological waves, and saying bye bye to them. Hey, blockchain, bye bye. You made everyone rich except me.
I still sat and talked about the potential of blockchain. I probably did some events around it.
You did.
Probably that's the extent of stuff that we are used to doing here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, the cute stuff, right? We keep on ending things at the cute stuff, and we never shake the industry from a business perspective.
Yeah, I think like one of the biggest things that has come out from the 4 months of working very intensely together is the idea of rigor, right? And that is something that I found to be missing. And then in Nepal, in workforce, in academia, like colleges with students, the way our ecosystem functions, the rigor is missing, and then AI sort of exposes the lack of rigor, and suddenly a lot of what we see is pretense of work rather than sort of work itself. When I say work that is valuable, right? I mean, like we can produce any kind of work, but then the work that is valuable. I think. It comes down to that, and I think like there has to be some intentionality towards how can we build rigor in our working process, in our life, and we do not push things very easily out, because if we do that, AI will suddenly expose it. And the discussion that we were having today in the morning, that we can't really afford someone being misaligned, because if someone is misaligned in the team and then they are producing things without a lot of rigor, then the drift is exponential, and then it is not possible to actually afford that. So that's a big risk in itself, right?
Yeah. So I was actually talking to a friend about the same topic.
Yeah.
Pre-AI or pre-generative AI, even if you had to generate shitty work, like for example, thought experiment, you plan to be a shitty developer,
Yeah.
or a shitty designer.
Yeah.
Even to create the shitty work, it would take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem today is because of generative AI, you can generate a lot of bad quality work in a very short time, which can cause a lot of damage to your brand.
Yeah.
And that is why the risk of misalignment with the company's mission, with the company's direction, is amplified because
Yeah.
the way generative AI works, right? It can generate infinite amounts. Like just ask it a 500 page essay about nothing, and it will create a 500 page essay about nothing.
Yeah.
So I think people don't understand how what a big thing this is.
Yeah.
That you can create output that has no outcome.
Yeah.
You can generate lots of output that has no outcome or no positive outcome for the business or the customers. And this drug that that the feeling of, oh, I created some output. We're already seeing even and you know what's, I think, okay, let's go back to the core topic of the last 4 months.
Yeah.
I think what's been the most surprising aspect of it was, I thought junior people would fall prey to this drug or they would get addicted to this drug. It was the senior people who got addicted.
Yeah.
The people who I was expecting to have the judgment to be able to say, no, this is a shortcut. I have taken shortcuts and kind of seen bad things happen because of that. Like you'd expect the senior talent in your company to be able to kind of be the blocker, right?
Yeah.
And then kind of carry the bastion of quality.
Yeah.
And I think the realization over the last 4 months has been, the biggest realization has been, it's not a junior or senior thing. This kind of addiction to low quality work and I wouldn't call it pretense of work. I think nobody has bad intentions, right? Nobody is doing, like, again, there's the hypothetical scenario of, I will be a bad professional. Nobody's coming to work at 9 a.m. in the morning kind of planning to do bad work. But and maybe just like social media, nobody in the first 10 years of social media, the word or phrase social media addiction didn't exist, right? Because we never thought of it as an addiction. It was just too new. So maybe, I don't know, in 5 years, generative AI addiction becomes a formalized term, just like social media addiction. Like we get to understand, what bad uses of generative AI clearly looks like. And I'll just finish my train of thought before I get your input. We were discussing about where to use AI and where to not, right? And I think one thing that I gained in these 4 months, and from the conversations, like lots of informal conversations we had, if you think about it, that was the biggest point of contention, right? Like me being reserved about not injecting AI into everything, and then you kind of being bullish on AI as a starting point, and me being bearish on AI as a starting point for any work. So I think that was where the one discussion where we always locked horns.
I think we are on the same page. Like I don't think we were on different pages. Just the definition of the starting point, I think is different. Let's say when I say AI as a starting point. So yesterday, I went for a walk, and I have been going for a walk quite a lot. And we talked in the last episode as well. Higher based on morning walks. And I was working on a document, and I was talking to Claude. I was working on a document. So as a starting point, if you don't read the output, then it's a problem. If you're not injecting critical thinking, then it is a problem. But if we are using AI as a ghost writer, where we are not getting influenced. Like, there is a critical thinking element between what AI is producing and what we are producing. But then if the AI's argument is seeping into your perception, then obviously we are not really thinking what we want really through. But then if we are sparring with AI continuously and we are not settling on what AI is producing it, then it sort of becomes a very powerful tool to even start with, just from a ghost writer's perspective. So over here, I'm not really using anything of LLMs. I'm just using its ability to write stuff so that I can read more clearly, think more clearly. So I really believe like we're thinking from the same lens, but then just the definition of the starting point, like probably can
Yes,
be.
but I think what's missing here. What's missing is I'm involved in one project that requires us to build a curriculum, right? And then I've been kind of going deep into the TVET sector and how it works. And one of the things like what they have clearly defined is something called competencies. And one of the examples a trainer gave was that of a painter. So a painter who can paint is okay, they can paint, right? But I wouldn't call them a competent painter unless they put a plastic at the bottom, making sure that the paint that drips does not touch the floor, for example. So kind of for known bodies of work, these kinds of competencies are clearly laid out and clearly defined, and there are certification bodies and assessment frameworks that say this is the correct way to paint a wall, including kind of everything, right? Painting the wall, protecting the environment, cleaning up after you paint, XYZ, choosing the right paint, XYZ, managing the team, right? If you need to paint 10 walls, how do you divide the work into 5 people, XYZ? So there are kind of established frameworks. For generative AI, because of the lack of an established framework, I think people are struggling to understand the thing you said, right? Is kind of you cannot use generative AI without having a clear conceptual, without giving it a clear conceptual framework of what you're trying to build. That kind of a certification or that kind of a knowledge doesn't exist yet because it's just so new. And I think what happens when things are very new is it gets the body of knowledge gets overrun with technical things. Like what's happening now, agents, coworkers, all of the fluff that we see, all of the noise that we see. I think all of this will simmer down, but it's also such a great opportunity to kind of build such a curriculum, right, on generative AI, because nobody has built it. I think all the curriculums are all the courses right now are like build Claude. For example, introduction to Claude code or introduction to Claude cowork. But does that give the deep foundation of generative AI and like how LLMs work, why they are so powerful? I think there's a huge market that nobody. It's also, but like I think something like this is harder to sell. That's also the truth, right?
I mean, harder to sell as well, but then also because it's so shiny, like there are conversations around AGI, there are conversations about AI is going to take our job and stuff like that. There's so much of like the noise around it. Most of it could be true as well, but then I think we're not sort of seeing this as again as first principles. What is this technology? Like let's say like in workshops you've heard me giving this example, right? So if iPhone 17 was airdropped in 1991 1992, and people would not know, right? Like they would not know what the swipe is, what the touch is, like how to use it, and probably most of the population would come down to using it just as a phone, because somehow they would figure that you need to dial and then you need to press the green button. That's what's happened, right? So people went from Google to chat, and pretty much replicated a very similar kind of behavior over there, because that is what they could figure out. And the more and more I work with organizations, this is what I've started to realize, that probably that's going to be the extent of it. Probably most of the world will never get into workflows. Probably most of the world will never get into agents. All of them would be an underlying thing, just like how it was for Excel, right? Like there are power users of Excel, hyper power users of Excel, and there are people who like just put like 10 things on the on one column and then the numbers on the other column, and they use Excel like that as well. And a large population of the world uses it like that. I am starting to see that probably that's how it's going to be for generative AI as well. That most of the world is going to be on chat, and that's probably one of the reasons why I see ChatGPT and then Claude not complicate the system beyond chat, right? So they are not introducing all the workflows and stuff like that on the Claude interface. Like the managed agents sort of systems are like way beyond in like settings for people who are technically competent to go and figure out. But I think the world is just going to be in chat, and I think and the AI technology, when implemented well, will not ask people to upskill more than talking to a chat, is what I'm starting to see. And then again, this is not like a totally concretized sort of frame, but then I mean, like whenever we are working with organizations, that's what I tell my tech team. They should be working with a folder, they should be working with chat, and then that's the end of it. That's the process of us realizing as well, right? Because when you say workflow, it's such a semantically very simple term, right? Like workflow, how we do our work. But when we ask people to actually break their workflow, it's a nightmare. Like it is very very difficult. Like because we do not think in terms of workflows until and unless we are a very very hardcore systems thinker, and then people get in that direction at this point in my motivation. So like my sort of like uh, like 2 cents is on AI sort of all staying at chat and not going beyond it for most of the population.
But I think there is one exception to this. I think you are only imagining the people who type chatgpt.com and kind of or have the ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude on their phone and use it for conversations. I think one kind of area you missed is Microsoft Copilot or Google's kind of embedded chat that comes in like in terms of that the right panel kind of thing, right? Like if you look at Cursor, everything that comes, the chat that comes has a right panel, and
Chat, right? So yeah, I mean, like when I say chat, I do not mean it will stay at Claude chat. It is still gonna be chat. It's still gonna be chat, and then the most of the engineering has to almost disappear below chat. So people will use it without even knowing they're using AI just because they are used to chat. And I think like I think that's probably gonna be the extent of it for a large population. So like when we are building technology, we don't want to make it more complicated now. It has to either come at a chat in a Slack or a Teams, or it has to appear as a chat. Beyond that, it is very painful upskilling for sure.
yeah, I think so. But going back to that question of this, okay, the chat is there inside PowerPoint, right? And someone who could have designed a 5-slide presentation manually, starting from a blank canvas, like no rocket science,
Yeah.
now is addicted to single prompt presentation because the first piece of output looks fancy. How do we solve this problem? It's going to happen. Organizations are going to get a flood of this AI fluff inside, right? We faced it, and and again, the professional who's doing this probably doesn't even know that they're creating like a lot of damage to their career by doing it.
So like I would want to like when you were saying this, uh, the picture that I was coming to my mind is someone who struggled to use PowerPoint, and suddenly can generate some really really nice stuff on Claude or Gamma. Like that. Like there is a delta. Like that delta of excitement. Like okay, now I can make something beautiful than I used to before. I think like people will get to that delta. Probably that delta will saturate, and then like probably will keep on getting better at it. But I think the only solution to this is, I think reading. Reading is I think one of the most important skills right now. We should read everything that is coming out. We should make sure that nothing that we are not reading is going out with our name on it. And if that is then I think like it will sort of like start solving a lot of problems, because if we are reading it, we will, it might not be 100% intentional, but then it will bring some intentionality to it, because we will agree to some stuff, we will not disagree to some stuff. It might be we disagree to 10% of the things, but as a starting point, it is okay, right? Rather than pushing stuff out very very like it's coming out, you're pushing out. If we just read it, it'll sort of bring some rigor to it, some intentionality to it, and I think like that's probably a simple fix, at least to some.
I think the world will also need a new reframe in terms of, again, because volume was directly proportional to time for a long time. Like if you want to, again, if you could design 5 slides in 5 minutes, but if you wanted to design 50 slides, even if you were going to fill them with, again, fluff, it would still take 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
But now you can create 500 slides in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think the world will, the professional world will need to, same with code, same with videos, same with any artifact that comes out of a piece of work or a task. I think the professional world will need to come to terms with the fact that the metric of quality needs a different ratio, almost like signal to noise, right? If you submit work with a lot of noise, there should be some framework that says this is bad work.
Yeah.
That I'm constantly trying to hint towards that kind of a framing. Is we will need to create a culture of not tolerating, like very strongly, not tolerating fluff. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, like, but we can just be very confrontal. Like, I had a conversation few weeks back with someone. The work that was produced there was no explainability for it, and I was like, "You produce this again. That's going to be the end of it, right?" So, like, we have to be very confrontal. Like, it cannot be, because if we are not confrontal, like, we'll probably waste everyone's time, because that thing will compound, that habit will compound, and then obviously we should give opportunity, empower, but then everyone should have that agency from their end. That I'll own my.
So basically, you are kind of suggesting that a lot of people in leadership positions who kind of could be nice guys in the last 5 years, post COVID, zero interest rate era. There was unlimited money flying around. Everyone was getting promoted. Everyone was getting large raises. So that has created some kind of, debt, nicety debt. And then AI sort of came at the right time to, right time, wrong time, you could argue. But, I think a lot of things happened at the same time, right? That zero interest rate phase, and then ChatGPT coming out, and then agents becoming mainstream. And then it's all now the next 2 or 3 years is going to be a lot of unpleasantness inside organizations, where leaders are going to have to become very confrontational with people across. And as I mentioned, it's not just the junior people, it's the people right from the top, right?
Yeah.
You might have to be confrontational with your co-founder.
You
or even your boss.
I think the first confrontation is with ourselves, right? Let's say for example, okay, I mean, like, we should be able to look in the mirror and then say like you're producing shit, right? Let's say, for example, when almost like midway, like in one conversation, you were you are like going very high level, and then like the grounding, so we're not able to catch. That was a confrontational conversation. I mean, at least I took it that way. It was a confrontational conversation, and then what it enabled, that confrontation, what it enabled me to produce after that, in just in a few days, that is the confrontation that I was having with myself. That, okay, before I meet this guy the next time, he is going to see whatever I have in my mind, not from a very high level, but from a very implementation point of view, right? So those 3 days, that weekend, I was very confrontational with myself. Okay, like if someone is not understanding, no matter how you think about yourself, it's not translating. So you need to put in the work, right? And then the same with everyone else. But then when we are confrontational, it doesn't have to have a negative connotation to it. It just has to have, it saves everyone's time. It If taken well, it actually makes everyone sort of better, more efficient, more productive, or like more people with who can produce good work.
And you know what's helped me through this journey, and this goes back to the importance of community,
Yeah.
is we as leaders of organizations are going, every organization leader is going to go through this.
Yeah.
And if they are not actively communicating with leaders of other organizations,
Yeah.
they will be constantly beating themselves up that they are not doing the right thing,
Yeah.
right? Because kind of the market will force them to be confrontational, and they'll be feeling guilty about it, and they will beat themselves over it. So I think it's also like kind of crisis brings people together, right? I think
Press the right people together.
it brings the right people together. Sometimes wrong as well. uh,
But it sort of like comes on the surface pretty quickly, right? Because
Yeah.
wrongful confrontation has its space, but then it's not on the core circle sort of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I'm trying to hint at is, if you're in any leadership position and you're feeling the heat, one, you should be in constant communication with other people in your position,
Yeah.
constantly sharing your anxieties. Like, it's not a time to be, kind of reserved about your emotions, right? Because everybody is going to go through a tough time. I think
Yeah.
this is a time to share, I'm scared, I'm anxious. And the people who will not share those feelings will be the last ones to kind of understand this technology, right?
Yeah.
And this kind of transformation, number one. Number two, as you said, I think we also need to, or if you want to get through this AI transformation with a head start,
Yeah.
this wave through with a head start, you need to have a few people in your very close circle who will say it like it is. Like,
Yeah.
Alok, you are not a good person today.
Yeah.
Or, Alok, the example you gave is, yes, you have a lot of knowledge, but it's not translating to people, right?
Yeah. So it is not translating. It's not translating, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it was very important that we had the level of psychological safety and candor for me to be able to say that to your face without, fearing that, oh, our friendship will be destroyed or our professional working relationship might be hampered.
Yeah.
You absolutely need to have those people. You always need those people, obviously, like AI or no AI. But I think the importance of having that closed network of people, because one of the things that I have a network of founders that I regularly meet. Every month we meet at a location and we share what's happening in our organizations. And while I was going through this peak AI anxiety, I think what was really helpful was the kind of the peer counseling that was happening in that group, is that, oh, I am feeling the same way, right? So just knowing that everyone is suffering, I think it has some way of healing you or making you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like the other thing is also, especially in the tech CEO, tech founder sort of ecosystem, unless we get into it, it's not so intuitive to actually know, right? Because like there is a big umbrella of AI, and then it is understood that technical people would understand where this is going and what we need to build. But then that's not the case, right? That's not the case. Like it has a totally different archetype of how it is behaving, and until unless we peel the foundational layer of it and then like see the picture, we will get surprised, and we will have expectations with AI that we do not need to have, and we'll get engaged in conversations around AI that are not really helping. So I think like I've seen this a lot more in the tech circle, because first there is avoidance that this AI, I should know it, but that's not the case. It's new. it has a totally different mental model, and then when that sort of breaks, then oh shit. And then when you start adapting to the new change, then the new things emerge. And because the volume of technical work people have done in the past suddenly comes into picture, right? So once the layer of understanding of LLM centric or foundation model centric, this kind of AI breaks, then the volume comes to life, and then people can sort of start creating new things. And that's my observation as a front row observer in the past 4 months with your experience, right? Because like I've seen, like you go very very deep, you go in your own zone, and then try to get a sense of it, and then come out, build something, go back, and then like try to really see where the real value is. And then by now, like both of us, I think, can very comfortably say that you have a very strong hold on how this technology is moving, and then you at least have grab on the pulse of it, and that's the experience.
I think
have.
another learning was that three investments need to happen in parallel. Otherwise, you'll be wasting time. One is the infrastructure investment, right? Giving everyone access to cloud, like N8N, like Notion, a knowledge base, intelligence, a workflow engine. What is it? Did I miss anything? And maybe something like linear. That's the project management. Like
Project management.
that's like managing the flows.
That can come later,
right? But basically, like at least a knowledge base and some intelligence, and GitHub can be also that knowledge base if you're coding. But that knowledge base can be Figma if you're a designer. So whatever is the system of record plus what is AI native, and then like going from a non-AI native stack to a AI native stack, or for example, if you are on Teams, upgrading to Copilot, for example, just making sure that everyone in the organization has privacy boxed access to your data, right?
Yeah.
Number one, I thought that would make us AI native because we gave everyone MacBooks, we gave everyone cloud, we gave everyone Notion, and then as you said, we copied the old workflows into new tools, or we just changed the tools. We never changed our mindset.
Yeah.
And then, okay, we said, but that's still needed, right? I'm not trying to say that you can't skip that infrastructure investment. You have to do it.
You can't.
Then there's the training aspect of, all right, we've made the infrastructure investment, and that's the gap we're seeing, right? People are doing the infrastructure investment, waiting for a year for like same happened with us as well, is expecting the infrastructure investment to magically make us AI native.
Yeah.
And the conversations we are seeing from banks are, we've given like, are you AI native? Yes, we have given Microsoft Copilot to everyone.
Yeah.
Or program is, are you Punit? Are you AI native? My answer like few months back was yes. We've given Notion and Claude and like all of that. And you see that with a lot of tech founders, right? Is they think that the fact that they've given Cursor and kind of Codex, whatever XYZ tool to their developers means that they're AI native.
Yeah.
This rough translation of, I've given the tools and they're more productive is the word, right?
Productivity does not mean anything.
Yeah, productivity doesn't mean anything, but like that's the narrative. That's layer one, infrastructure. But layer two is training.
Like you know something, like you might have realized as well, on a native front, I think training is the wrong word. I think rehearsal is the right word, right? So I'm still playing with it, because obviously you can expose people to knowledge, you can expose people to tools, but it is really intentional. You have to do the work. You have to change the muscle memory of how you are working, so that it can actually sort of start reflecting in the way you think, the way you operate, the way you coordinate yourselves, right? So yeah, that's sort of okay.
But that's the training part, and then the other is the ROI part. How do you, and that's where we're kind of still stuck, right? Is you gave the infrastructure, you gave the training, coaching, rehearsal, whatever. it will still take time for the business ROI. And I think the ROI part is where where I started the conversation of knowing where human effort or the human hours is still necessary, and kind of building the human in the loop layers, keeping them, not trying to build autonomous AI generated artifacts.
No.
I think at every layer, infrastructure layer, I think you can just throw money at the problem.
Yeah.
Right? But the training, coaching, rehearsal layer and the ROI layer, you can't just throw money at the problem. And I think the why that infrastructure layer is ahead of the other two layers is the other two layers require you to find the right vendor, you to have the right mindset in the team. It takes longer, and I think a lot of leaders are choosing the shortcut, saying, let me do the easy thing, and when it doesn't work out, I will say, at least I made the financial. At least that was my mindset in the beginning, right? Like at least my team won't come to me and say that I did not give them access to AI tools. So it's such a shortcut. Like it's just applying Band-Aid over an open wound.
Yeah. Yeah, totally makes sense. But then, yeah, I think like it's been such a such an intense sort of an experience. So much change happened, right? So much change happened in the past 4 months. Okay, let's sort of shimmer down because now like after this week we are like set on our own journeys. Obviously, the podcast is going to continue, and then we're going to have this space we're going to chat. But then we are diverging back to our own sort of journeys. How would you want to like assimilate or synthesize it? Like, what do you want to tell me? Things that you found great, things that you didn't find so good. Where do you think is my area where I really shine? Where do you see an area where you think I can really improve? I can do the same thing for you. So like maybe we can like sort of assimilate there.
No, I'm not looking for feedback, Alok. I'm the greatest person in the world. I don't need to improve.
Let's play to minute 12 of this podcast. Now, I mean, like, it's not it's like feedback is such a feedback. I don't like the word feedback. Like I think the right connotation is feed forward, so that you can like okay, do better here, sort of. So yeah, but then like let's sort of assimilate this 4-month journey of
All right.
yeah.
What we did well, and that could translate to organizations who might be where we were 4 months back. Right.
Yeah.
Number one, I think choosing the right person. I think the fact that we started with just random conversations before we started the engagement, professional engagement, that matters. What I would recommend to other. So I think I'll frame it from like, what are my recommendations to you? But I don't want to do that. I want to frame it in the sense of what are my recommendation to other organizations that want to go through the same transformation as Program is.
Yeah.
Or as Punit Jajodia, right? As a person, like for a leader of an organization. So number one, if you're going to bring an AI transformation coach, make sure you have a lot of contact hours with them even before you bring them on professionally.
Yeah.
Because you really have to like them, because they are going to have to shout at you a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a very uncomfortable journey. And if you don't feel a personal...
You don't need to shout. It's just like turning up the heat at the right time.
Yeah, but the point is, that's what I meant by shout. But the point is that it's going to be a very emotional journey with that AI transformation coach, right? It's a transformation. It's a personal transformation. It's an organizational transformation, and perhaps the largest transformation we will go through in our lives, even bigger than COVID. Perhaps, at least professionally, right? So if this is going to be the biggest transformation you go through your professional life, you better have a good coach, and you better have a very good rapport with that coach. So one thing we did well was we built up that professional and personal rapport with each other, built trust with each other before we started the professional engagement. Number two, first hire Alok.
I have comments.
He is wonderful.
I didn't frame this for you to say that because
But anyways, so I think I was extremely lucky because I don't think there exists. Actually, you're really alone in this. Like you're the only person I would trust you to take me through this process in Nepal, right? It would have been extremely hard to find someone else to do this. So number one, I think build personal rapport. Number two, what we did well was you were coming in with a coaching kind of perspective, right? Like, okay, I'll coach the team. And then you realize that you wanted to be more hands-on and just go beyond coaching. I think I have mixed feelings about that. Once I started participating and co-facilitating the workshops with you,
yeah,
I feel like some sort of coaching before building would have been nice. I think we spent a lot of time, we wasted a lot of time where, you were using all these technical words with deeply technical definitions and assuming that the team would get it. I think some sort of maybe not too long, but 2 weeks of coaching, like the kind of workshops we deliver at banks, would have made sure that at least the dictionary would have been in place.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that is where we wasted the most time, in my opinion, is people did not understand what a workflow was. People did not understand the difference between an agent and a coworker. People did not understand the pieces of technology that needed to come together to deliver ROI on AI transformation. People did not understand where human in the loop still mattered, right? So kind of a lot of time was spent on correcting the lack of coaching. Because we directly went into build mode. Again, I'm not blaming you. I think this was new for you. This was new for me, everyone. But going forward, if you're bringing someone like Alok in, make sure that before you inject them into the team and kind of start building AI stuff, first, there's a lot of new language in town that is very confusing. Make sure that you have a common dictionary of organization-wide what an agent means.
Yeah.
What LLM means for you, what agent means for you, what a knowledge base means, right? And your choice of technology also. Because sometimes what can happen is with Notion, Slack, and the kind of tech stack we have, all these pieces have different names. So it's easy to make sense of, all right, Notion is my knowledge base, Slack is my communication and workflow observability layer. XYZ, it's easier to do that. But when you have like something like a Google stack or a Microsoft stack, it's also integrated that you don't see those layers separately, and I think that can also become a huge mess. I saw that when in our bank, when we were training banks, is people were like, oh, it's all Microsoft. Like people were not able to see that Teams is a completely separate thing from SharePoint, which is just the storage layer. From the other pieces of the AI stack, because these organizations bring everything in one go, which is like, I think startups should, that's why I feel like young startups should avoid Microsoft or Google stack. I think again, what can other organizations learn from our like this 4-month process is, if you are a young startup, go for the Slack and N10 Notion, Claude, where like every layer of the AI transformation process has a different name. I think it just becomes easier to translate for people and for the organization itself, versus if you have like Google stack and what's interesting is a lot of companies, at least young startups, where like in Silicon Valley that I'm seeing, is they will still use Google, but they will only use it for Gmail.
Yeah.
They will still have, because there's no better alternative to Gmail, right? There's absolutely no.
But Gmail is pretty AI native, right? It gets connected pretty.
Yeah, it's good. So there's a difference between using Google Workspace for just the Gmail and the basic stuff, and using it with Gemini and like all in. So I'm talking about the all-in versus just using Gmail. So we also still are on Gmail, but I wouldn't go into full Gemini if I am a startup. Versus if you're a bank or like you have to commit to one stack, right? You can't have your employees, some employees randomly using their personal NA10 and sending customer data to NA10. So you also have to be you have to look at the organization you're leading and choose the right stack. I think we did a good job choosing our stack. I think Claude, Notion, NA10. What choose? What happened when we moved from Teams to kind of this stack is I saw the product taste become better for our team because they got to taste different applications by different companies that have different design systems, but still are top of the game, right? So I think I have seen a better vocabulary in the team after we brought in this AI native stack. So you have to make sure that the stack is MCP first, is agent first, has lots of connectors, work well with each other, all of that, and make it like a startup-y vibe if you're a tech startup, and go for a more integrated solution if you're a big company, regulated industry and all that. That's where I think we did a good job. Where we are still struggling and where we could have, I think, my feed forward to you would be where we always locked horns, right? Is kind of, and I think I only achieved this clarity in the last week, which is how do you make the decision between where you should stay away from AI? And I gave that answer to you in the morning today, right? Is if you're trying to create something beautiful, stay away from AI because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder and the beholder is human. So if you're creating a landing page, if you're creating a strategy, and this is where we still kind of disagree, but what I would say is if you're trying to create something beautiful, go old school, right? Use the point and click kind of interfaces. Don't lose touch with that world. And if you are trying to reduce the ugliness of a process, it's repetitive, you feel, don't like it at all. There's nothing beautiful in credit risk assessment or filling forms or, all of these things that both the service provider and the customer hate. Those should be our primary targets for AI, and those things that we are supposed to love doing, right? Stay away from AI until we figured it out. Like at least for some time, it's still good to kind of not get addicted to creating presentations, strategies, basic artifacts using AI. I feel that if that is your primary product, especially, right? I think that is also one very beautiful way to put it. If that is your primary product as a knowledge worker, make sure that you have put in enough human hours and like intuition and kind of your work into it. KYC is not the primary product of a bank, or credit risk assessment is not the primary product of a bank. It is a process, unknowing process that comes in the way of delivering the final product. So those things should be like ripe for that. Those are the things that you should automate away. But don't, like your boss gave you the work of creating a presentation. Don't give it to AI, please. Do it yourself. Like it doesn't take too long,
So I think like one of the things on that front, right? I think I went into this so early that my sort of mind has become like that. My first question that I ask is, okay, what is the process to do this with AI? And it is not just like prompting and bringing out output. And I start thinking in layers, and that sort of thinking has probably enabled me to see a lot of layers of this technology very, very easily. But I agree to what you said, and that's probably one of the reasons I've actually written to a creative designer to now come and work on the slides that I put out. I'm not great at art, but then like the internal feeling is that things that I put it up on slide when I'm doing a workshop, especially now that artifact has to be very handcrafted, right? Because like I've pretty much,
it has to be beautiful.
Yeah, it has to be beautiful, and then I really like beautiful things. just that I want to think AI first, and does not mean that I will do it AI first. Just like the example that I give you, and then even if you see the slides that I made, like the slides that we presented in one of the workshops, like that was not AI generated, right? Like it's all me building it with my definition of beauty, like no, however good or bad that might be. But then yeah, that's how I would see it. So when
Yeah,
I
and
look
I think if you had built the same presentation with AI, it would have probably 200% more content,
definitely.
right? And that's the problem that I see is kind of information hierarchy, choice architecture. All of these are conscious choices that humans are able to make without very deep understanding of the fact that the customer of any artifact or any piece of work is a human being with limited attention span and limited time span, right? AI doesn't know that.
Yeah. Right now, AI is just an intelligence layer for me. It's a wonderful sparring partner. Like the thing that we discussed in the last workshop as well. I would rather talk to AI than having to talk to someone who is not getting it right. Like it saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of energy on your end as well. Like why are people not understanding it? And that's probably one of the reasons why I also like using Claude with co-founder or anyone along, so that we are doing the check and balance. So that sort of has been the scenario. So but when I look at from my end, right?
One last thing before
Yeah.
kind of I pass the baton to you is like in the past year, because the organization needed a huge change, I brought in a lot of consultants, right?
Yeah.
There was a time when my entire leadership team was a ragtag team of consultants, and we used to joke about it. There's no full-time employees in the leadership team.
Yeah.
Everybody is a consultant, and kind of that's also one suggestion to organizations that will go through this process is your existing employees will not be enough to get you through this process.
Yeah.
They absolutely won't be. If you think that promoting your existing employees to like head of AI strategy, just giving that title to an existing employee, no matter how motivated they are, because what a consultant or an agency or like someone like Alok or like and maybe an agency if you're a bigger organization like the big four or all of that, right? So the spectrum from Alok being the cheapest to big McKinsey.
Yeah.
So in that spectrum from Alok to McKinsey, whatever you can afford, get something or get someone at least to coach you. And there will be a time when you will have lots of consultants and not all of them will work out, but you have to start seeking external help if you're head of an organization. And the point I was trying to make it is not this. When I reflect back on kind of the consultants that I wasn't did not deliver as expected, and what you gave was, again, we still yet to measure the ROI of your work, right? Concrete ROI, business ROI. But I feel like I am bullish on the ROI with you with the work you did, is because, again, as opposed to other consultants that did not deliver as much, you committed to a certain number of contact hours with me.
Yeah.
And right at the beginning, I still remember that moment where kind of you had booked the calendars. It was day one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just day one, and you said, "All right, Punit, we need to meet thrice a week." I think.
Yeah.
It was twice or thrice a week, and you booked 1 hour slots, 3 1 hour slots with me.
Before, and then when we met twice a week, 1.5 hours after that.
1.5 hours, and then that was just the formal kind of process. But we met a lot over coffee, lunch, walking, lots of walking conversations. So we almost spent like 10 hours every week together. And if you include the podcast, that's even more, right? But we spent a good deal of 12, 13, 14 hours a week together. What happens when you don't have those checkpoints on a calendar when you're working with consultants is sometimes the time is huge, and then you do, and the consultant, and you don't even realize when that time has drifted to half an hour per week or 1 hour per week. And there's a big difference between 10 hours a week and 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
No consultant can deliver any transformation with 1 hour of contact time with the founder.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what I really liked about the process with you is we spent a great deal of time together. So my recommendation to organizations that are, again, hiring a coach like Alok to come in and lead AI transformation would be make sure that you book a lot of time with them in your calendar. And you're kind of actually committing to time, spending that time. And if the formal time is not enough, the formal work hours is not enough, book lunch, book breakfast, book coffee, book long, no need to book walks, but just make sure that you spend a lot of time with them on walks. I wish with all the consultants we had in the process, I wish that all consultants would have done this, or I would have pressured them to do it. The fact that and it's your expertise, right, to know that you should do this. It comes from you having worked with multiple organizations and having seen failures from not doing it. But yeah, if the consultant is not booking enough time with you and promising a lot, run away, or at least make sure that they're committing fixed human contact hours with you. So that would be my recommendation to organizations who will want to or will need to go through this transformation with Alok or McKinsey or something in the middle.
I mean, like, if I had a North Star of becoming a consultant all my life, then I would take that personally, but then it's okay. So yeah, I think from my end,
You're pretty expensive, by the way. I'm not trying to say Alok is cheap. Like, there will be, I think, 5 layers below Alok, probably 5 layers of AI coaches below Alok.
I don't know what you'll get, but still. No, I think I think the first thing is willingness, right? So willingness to come in. I mean, like, by no margin, this was a comfortable journey for you as a founder, because there have been times in the meetings, the way the communication has come to you has been borderline harsh as well, at multiple times, right? And then all of that in, like, very in a respectful environment, and then with the intention to get some things moving. And I think the willingness to be able to take that, I think that's the first sort of a benchmark. Like, you have to be involved with whoever is coming in. Otherwise, then I don't think there is any value if the founder is not involved and the founder is just like delegating that work and asking some people in the team to actually like go through the transformation. It is a leadership level transformation that everyone needs to go through. And then I think I think you have had a tough time, it's not that like the transformation. I would not want to term it as transformation, but then I mean, like, we have clips, we have the podcast is a testament at multiple times and on how you were thinking about AI, and then the way you were thinking about AI, there was a lot for me to learn as well in the process. Not that I'm like, I don't want to frame myself as an expert, but then yes, I have foundation for understanding of how this technology is moving. So,
and you know what, like, just a side point on this.
Yeah.
I think founders of tech businesses it's going to be harder on them compared to banks, because banks being highly regulated, nobody can enter the sector. Like they're kind of preparing for a world a year later or 2 years later. For tech businesses, there's 2 parallel attacks, right? Our revenue is going down because kind of the Anthropics and the OpenAIs are sucking in a lot of the business value that was being provided by micro SaaS businesses and like outsourcing companies. All of that. So kind of these big behemoths are sucking in all the value. That happens with every new, like even with the internet, right? Like, who took all the IP addresses? Like, IPv4 addresses should have been enough for everyone. But the fact that these big companies sucked up all the IPv4 addresses meant that we needed IPv6. But if they had not sucked it all, IPv4 would have been enough, right? So whenever kind of a new technology comes in, there's a huge land grab by the big behemoths. That's what we are seeing right now. I don't know what point I was trying to make, but yeah. So for tech founders, it's a double whammy. It's a double attack. You are being forced to do this transformation when your revenue is going down,
Yeah. Yeah.
or when the prospects of your business are not looking good. Versus banks who still have kind of some leeway and some time, right, to adjust. I think I would say banks are even at, it's better to be a tech founder than a banking professional today, because at least we know what's coming.
Yeah.
Banks don't even know, like regulated businesses don't even know what's coming.
Yeah. Because I think with regulated industries, it's not going to come, and then it's certainly going to come overnight, sort of with one policy being passed in a certain direction.
Like the shock that the regulated industries will be greater than the shock that the double shock that technology businesses got, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be brutal. There's going to be a lot of messy, restructurings. And probably us founders of tech businesses who have gone through it before will become consultants, restructuring consultants for banks. Maybe that's what I am born to do, Alok. When I was 10, I always wanted to help banks prepare for AI restructurings. It was always my dream.
But when you were 10 years old,
I was 10 years old, yeah.
how did you think about AI when you?
It was a joke.
Okay. Coming back to the experience. So yeah, one is willingness for sure. One is willingness for sure, and then I think
But one thing, Alok, like we are laughing now, but this is no laughing matter, right? When we were going through the process, like it's not this laugh is not ha ha ha. We can run organizations with less people or less kind of people are not necessary. This laugh is like, oh man, like what a roller coaster ride, like.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that we will not be able to take people deeper than we have gone ourselves in any domain, right?
I love it.
And
yes.
as a like consultant coach or whatever we call it, I can't take the organization deeper than where I've gone.
This is such a great visual, Alok. Like you can't swim at 4 feet and teach someone to swim at 6 feet.
Yeah, I'm getting better. No, I've learned some.
Yeah. You are getting better at framing concepts with visual language. I see that.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that.
I'll send you my bill.
Okay, sure. So yeah, I think even as a founder, the founder has to go to the depths of it to really sort of get the real jewels out of it, so that the team can sort of get inspired to move in that direction. AI adoption at a founder level just cannot be outsourced, right? And I think like that's the journey that you have taken. You're very you held that with a lot of sanctity, and then like went into your own process, right? And that was amazing to see. Obviously, as you said, it was not a very always pleasant journey, and no transformation process is a pleasant journey. There is a lot of like intentional pain that we are inflicting on ourselves, and the other thing that when you were discussing, if someone has to come as an AI transformation sort of person in any organization, I think they should know how to train, like not just like AI training. I think they should know how to train even themselves.
Train, right?
The idea of training, because
100%.
Because I think if someone is a bodybuilder and if someone is in a business of AI consulting, I think they would do a great job, because they know the process of transformation, and then because the foundational concept, sort of translate. By this, I do not mean hire a bodybuilder for AI consulting, but I mean that consultants that take incredible good care of themselves and know how to train. That's something that I definitely see. But on the other side, we're supposed to end in 6 months. We are ending in 4 months. Right? And I think one day I was like, I think the job is done, right? like I don't need to like sort of extend like 2 more months just because the contract is there. And I think like yeah, I think that's the place that I came for. I sent you a text. I think you.
I never thought you would leave after 6 months. I was like, I will convince Alok to stay forever. I frankly had that confidence in me. I don't know, for some like.
No, okay, but then I really, because it's a matter of intuition as well, right? Like when you feel that it will start dragging from here on, we have to leave. Like we have to leave so that it creates space for the organization to sort of like take its own journey, and then like for me as well to like sort of take my own journey as well. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get into any kind of this engagement anytime soon. I enjoyed it. There's so much of learning. Like it was very very dense. But then I think like this is probably time for me to get back and build
Into building.
Okay. And
And Alok, like I wish more tech founders in Nepal's ecosystem had this concept of taking a pause from whatever they're building, doing some consulting on the side, or going into teaching. We've talked about this before, right?
yeah.
I think the problem with tech founders in Nepal is they've been building for last 15 years.
Yeah.
They've done almost nothing else in those 15 years. So what I was saying was, like most tech founders in Nepal, just keep building, or serving customers, and then they go from 1 to 2 to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, right? But they don't pause and kind of take other experiences. And that's the reason why I feel like we haven't been able to build standout products from Nepal and are stuck at the tech outsourcing layer. So if you're a founder, I think it's very important. Like even Alok as a founder, right? I saw you grow so much through this process. It wasn't just me learning from you. It was you also absorbing a new culture, getting out of your comfort zone of, all right, I am around people I know, suddenly throwing yourself into kind of a completely different problem, but it's a shared learning experience, right?
Yeah. Okay. So overall it was good day. I mean it was fantastic. Thank you so much for trusting me. First of all, it was amazing. I mean, like obviously, there was. I knew that I could bring value to the organization, but then, as you said, there has been a lot of growth that I've had at my end as well in this process. Very excited to be to going back to building tangible and then to doing what I was doing. So there is definitely like so much has changed in the way I'm operating here in tangible as well. So yeah, so let's end that. Thank you so much. Was lovely, and as we embark in different journeys, hopefully we can create a lot of value for the ecosystem.
Yeah. And the podcast from now on will be interesting. They'll be like they'll take a different form. So I'm also happy that, to see how the podcast evolves when we're doing different things.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone who were listening. And I see you in the next one. Okay. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.